You're listening to Underground USA News.
Friday, August 8, 2025, President Trump has reportedly signed a secret directive empowering the U.S. military to conduct operations against Latin American drug cartels, which his administration has classified as foreign terrorist organizations, marking a bold escalation in the fight against the fentanyl crisis and illegal drug trafficking. This move, aimed at protecting American lives and national security, allows potential military actions on foreign soil and international waters against groups like the Sinaloa Cartel, Tren de Aragua, and MS-13, which have been flooding the U.S. with deadly drugs. While supporters argue this decisive action addresses a critical national security threat, critics raise concerns about legal implications, including potential violations of international law and the Posse Comitatus Act, which restricts military involvement in domestic law enforcement. The directive reflects Trump's long-standing commitment to dismantling cartels, though the specifics of military operations remain unclear, with Pentagon officials reportedly developing strategies to confront these criminal networks. The FBI has ousted 3 senior officials, including former acting director Brian Driscoll, Special Agent Walter Giardina, and Stephen Jensen, the former acting head of the Washington Field Office, in a move sources describe as potential retribution for their roles in January 6, 2021 Capitol riot investigations. This follows a Justice Department directive to identify personnel involved in these cases, raising concerns about politicization within the Bureau. Critics argue these actions risk undermining the FBI's independence, while supporters see them as part of President Trump's pledge to reform federal agencies perceived as targeting political opponents. The removals, ordered without specific reasons provided to the individuals, come amid a broader review of Justice Department and FBI personnel, with more departures expected. The Department of Justice has initiated a grand jury investigation into New York Attorney General Letitia James, focusing on allegations that her civil fraud lawsuit against President Trump may have violated his constitutional rights. The probe, centered in Albany, New York, is examining whether James' actions, including her high-profile $454 million judgment against Trump and his business for inflating his wealth to secure favorable loans, constituted a deprivation of rights. This investigation follows a separate DOJ inquiry into James over mortgage fraud allegations, which she has denied. Critics, including Trump, argue James' legal pursuits reflect political bias, while her office defends its actions as lawful efforts to uphold accountability, raising concerns about the potential weaponization of the justice system. President Trump signed an executive order on August 7, 2025, aimed at curbing politicized debanking, a practice where banks deny services based on customers' political or religious beliefs. The order mandates federal banking regulators to investigate unlawful debanking, remove vague, reputational risk guidelines, and impose penalties such as fines or consent decrees on offending institutions. Trump, citing his own experience with major banks like J.P. Morgan Chase and Bank of America, seeks to protect conservatives, cryptocurrency advocates, and others from what he calls discriminatory financial exclusion driven by regulatory overreach. This move is seen as a step toward ensuring fair access to banking services, addressing concerns raised by conservatives about politically motivated financial restrictions. The Federal Reserve's recent exploration of revaluing U.S. gold reserves from $42.22 per ounce to approximately $3,300 has ignited discussions on addressing the nation's $37 trillion debt without raising taxes or issuing new bonds. This accounting maneuver, outlined in a Fed report by economist Colin Weiss, could unlock over $800 billion in fiscal capacity by leveraging unrealized gains from the nation's 261.5 million troy ounces of gold, a strategy previously utilized by countries like Italy and South Africa to manage financial shortfalls. While supporters view it as a prudent approach to strengthen reserves and reduce debt, critics caution against potential inflationary risks and question its long-term effectiveness, seeing it as a temporary patch for deeper fiscal challenges. The proposal highlights the pressing need for innovative solutions to America's unsustainable debt trajectory, raising critical questions about the future of monetary policy and economic stability. Reports have surfaced alleging that U.S. Representative Jasmine Crockett, Democrat from Texas, created a hostile work environment, with former aides describing her as a demanding and belittling boss who frequently yelled at staff and fostered a toxic atmosphere in her congressional office. According to accounts, Crockett's behavior led to significant staff turnover, with claims that she overworked employees and dismissed their concerns, raising questions about her leadership style. While Crockett has not directly responded to these specific allegations, her public persona, marked by fiery rhetoric, has drawn both support and criticism. Such reports highlight the importance of accountability in leadership, regardless of political affiliation, as workplace culture remains a critical issue in congressional offices. A series of break-ins at National Guard armories across the United States, including 4 incidents in Tennessee over 7 weeks, has exposed significant security weaknesses in military facilities, with thieves stealing sensitive equipment like night vision goggles and thermal weapon sights, potentially with insider assistance. These breaches, detailed in a confidential Tennessee Fusion Center memo, suggest a troubling pattern of organized theft, possibly linked to domestic violent extremists, as evidenced by prior FBI and Defense Department reports. The incidents, which also include thefts in California, Colorado, and Washington, highlight the need for stronger safeguards to protect military assets from exploitation by those with inside knowledge or extremist motives. The ongoing FBI-led investigation underscores the urgency of addressing these vulnerabilities to prevent further threats to national security. In a welcome development for prospective homebuyers, the average rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage has dropped to 6.57%, marking a 10-month low and a significant decline from the 7.5% seen earlier this year. This reduction, driven by weaker-than-expected jobs data and falling 10-year Treasury yields, has boosted purchasing power by approximately $20,000 since May, providing some relief in a housing market strained by high prices and elevated borrowing costs. While this dip offers a window of opportunity for buyers and those looking to refinance, potentially saving $200 a month for those moving from a 7.5% rate, it remains uncertain whether this trend will persist as economic indicators continue to fluctuate. In a surprising shift not seen since the COVID-19 economic downturn, U.S. credit card debt has declined for the second month in a row, with a $1 billion drop in June following a $3.5 billion decrease in May, signaling a potential pullback in consumer spending. This contraction in revolving credit, coupled with record-high credit card interest rates exceeding 22%, suggests Americans are either maxing out their credit limits or deliberately cutting back amid economic uncertainty and dwindling personal savings, now at a near-record low of 3.4%. While non-revolving credit like student loans continues to rise, the stagnation in auto loans and this rare back-to-back decline in credit card balances raise concerns about an impending economic slowdown, potentially foreshadowing a recession if spending continues to falter. The question remains whether this is a proactive consumer response to high interest rates or a symptom of an already stalling economy, with recent revisions to employment data adding to the unease. Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey is under fire for her administration's Home Base program, which provides up to $30,000 in housing assistance to migrants over 2 years, even as the state shutters its migrant shelters. Critics, including former shelter director John Featherston, argue this creates a revolving door of unsustainable aid, with many recipients unable to maintain housing after spending the funds on upfront costs. The program's budget has ballooned from $9.5 million in 2022 to $97 million in 2025, prompting accusations of fiscal irresponsibility and lack of oversight. While Healey's office insists eligibility is tightly controlled, requiring legal status and residency, opponents argue the policy burdens taxpayers and lacks transparency. Virginia Democrat gubernatorial candidate Abigail Spanberger, a former CIA officer, has come under fire for accepting $50,000 in campaign contributions from Pin 9, a Chinese businessman with ties to the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, and president of Wangxiang America, a subsidiary of the Chinese automotive conglomerate Wangxiang Group. The donations, made in two $25,000 installments in April and May, raised concerns due to Virginia law prohibiting foreign nationals from making political contributions and Chinese law typically barring CCP members from holding foreign citizenship. Critics, including Republican opponent Winsome Earl Sears, argue that Spanberger's support for electric vehicle policies could benefit Wangxiang's EV operations, questioning her commitment to national security given her CIA background. The controversy has prompted the National Legal and Policy Center to plan a complaint with the Federal Elections Commission, highlighting potential legal and ethical issues in the high-stakes Virginia gubernatorial race. Oklahoma has agreed to repeal a state law allowing illegal immigrants to access in-state tuition rates at public colleges and universities, following a joint motion with the Trump administration's Department of Justice filed on August 5, 2025. The decision, supported by Oklahoma Attorney General Gentner Drummond, addresses concerns that the policy unfairly favored non-citizens over out-of-state U.S. citizens, violating federal law and the U.S. Constitution's Supremacy Clause. Drummond emphasized that the move ends a long-standing exploitation of Oklahoma taxpayers, who subsidize these benefits, aligning with efforts to ensure fairness in higher education access. The agreement, filed in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Oklahoma, marks a significant shift in state policy to comply with federal standards, prompting debate over equitable treatment in education funding. A rapidly spreading brush fire, dubbed the Canyon Fire, erupted on Thursday, August 7, 2025 in the mountainous region north of Los Angeles, prompting mandatory evacuations for thousands of residents in Ventura and Los Angeles counties. Igniting around 1:30 p.m., the blaze scorched over 7.6 square miles by late Thursday, remaining 0% contained as it advanced eastward toward Castaic Lake, threatening homes and popular recreational areas. Fueled by scorching temperatures nearing 100 degrees F and dry conditions, the fire has drawn a robust response from over 400 firefighters, supported by aircraft, as communities brace for potential further spread. This incident underscores the ongoing wildfire challenge in California, where August and September remain peak danger months, testing the resilience of local authorities and residents alike. Mahmoud Khalil, a former Columbia University graduate student and prominent anti-Israel activist, who has been shielded from deportation by activist organizations and federal judges, sparked controversy by suggesting that Hamas's October 7, 2023 terrorist attack on Israel, which killed over 1,200 civilians, was an unavoidable act to break the cycle of Palestinians not being heard. In a New York Times interview, Khalil, who led the Students for Justice in Palestine at Columbia, expressed that the massacre was a desperate attempt to highlight the Palestinian plight, while acknowledging that targeting civilians is wrong but refusing to condemn Hamas outright. His comments have drawn sharp criticism from groups like the Columbia Jewish Alumni Association, who questioned his use of "we" in defending the attack, and have fueled ongoing debates about his role in anti-Israel campus protests and his legal battles following a 104-day detention by U.S. immigration authorities. Starting August 8, 2025, the European Media Freedom Act will fully take effect across the European Union, aiming to safeguard media pluralism and protect journalists from political and economic pressures. The legislation establishes a framework to ensure media outlets, both public and private, can operate freely across EU borders while promoting transparency in ownership and state advertising allocation, while supporters view it as a vital step to strengthen democratic principles through independent journalism. Critics argue it may impose bureaucratic hurdles that could inadvertently restrict smaller media outlets. The EMFA also introduces measures to shield journalists from strategic lawsuits and enhance cooperation among national regulators, though its success hinges on consistent enforcement by member states. The Iranian regime has escalated its campaign against free speech, targeting 45 journalists from the London-based Iran International News outlet and over 300 of their relatives across 8 countries with death threats, according to multiple reports. The threats, issued by Iran's Ministry of Intelligence, demand that the journalists cease their reporting or face severe consequences, prompting the outlet to file an urgent appeal to the United Nations for protection. This alarming move underscores Iran's ongoing efforts to silence dissent and control narratives, raising serious concerns about press freedom and the safety of those who expose the regime's actions. Such authoritarian tactics highlight the need for international condemnation and robust safeguards for journalists worldwide. In a striking response to Iran's stringent internet controls, nearly 90% of its citizens now rely on virtual private networks to bypass government censorship. This surge, driven by restrictions intensified since June 2025, reflects a desperate bid for free access to global information, amidst a regime that ranks 97th out of 100 for internet quality and has outlawed unauthorized VPNs since February 2024. The Tehran E-Commerce Association notes that 93% of youth under 30 use VPNs, with tools like Starlink gaining traction, despite risks from spyware-laden fake VPN apps linked to state surveillance. This growing defiance underscores the Iranian people's determination to preserve digital freedom against oppressive controls, though it comes with significant risks in a nation where online dissent can lead to severe repercussions. India has taken a decisive step to strengthen its national security by approving the procurement of advanced mountain radars for the Indian Air Force, aimed at enhancing surveillance along its contentious Himalayan borders with China and Pakistan. Announced on August 5, 2025, by the Defense Acquisition Council. These cutting-edge radars, including systems like the Aslesha Mk2 and Ashwini LLTR, are designed to counter low-flying threats such as drones and helicopters in the rugged, high-altitude terrain of the line of actual control and line of control. This move reflects India's strategic resolve to modernize its defense capabilities amid rising geopolitical tensions, ensuring robust early warning systems and airspace monitoring to safeguard its sovereignty. The decision underscores a broader push for military modernization, with a focus on indigenous technology to counter regional adversaries effectively. As Haiti braces for a pivotal political transition, gang violence has erupted in Port-au-Prince, with notorious gang leader Jimmy Barbecue Cherizier threatening to disrupt the handover of the rotating presidency to businessman Lawrence St. Cyr on August 7, 2025. The Kenya-led multinational security mission reported thwarting attacks aimed at destabilizing the nation, with 3 officers briefly hospitalized after Molotov cocktail assaults on their vehicles. The Transitional Council, tasked with guiding Haiti toward elections by February 2026, struggles against entrenched gang control, with up to 90% of the capital reportedly under their influence, raising doubts about the feasibility of upcoming elections. This escalating crisis underscores the urgent need for robust international support to restore order and safeguard Haiti's fragile governance.
You're listening to Underground USA News.